Hi guys, welcome to another video, and today we're going to talk about how to make washes for your building to make your mortar brick lines look real. So here's some acrylic paints that we're going to use. I don't recommend Tamiya, but all the rest here from brands that you can access. Vallejo, Model Color, Model Air. Model Air is thinned a little more for your airbrush. I go with Polyscale. I really like the color of this L&N gray. As you can see, it shows a really nice color for me. And these are the brushes I use for washes. You want to use something thick, fluffier. Now, if you haven't already prepped your building, this is how I'm going to show you in a few quick steps what I do to prep a building, because you don't want to just paint a building as is. It's always best to have a clean building in and out. That way when you're painting, all your lines are crisp and they show really well. So here I use a spray paint, which is cheap, but it takes longer to dry. And many light coats are better. That way your details aren't buried in paint. It's a good idea to also paint a little piece of brick to test the consistency of your wash. So now's the time to do that. Once your walls are thoroughly dry, let's get ready to make the wash. Grab your color of choice, and in my case I'm using L&N gray. You can use any acrylic. You got to use an acrylic that works with water, otherwise this technique doesn't work properly. Grab your mixed paint and pour it in the bottom of the cup. I use a styrene stick or a stir stick to help guide the paint. That way you don't get excessive paint spill on your lid or on your lip. Then add about 6 to 10 times the amount of water. Make sure your water is clean, and once you add your water, let's stir it very well. And I suggest adding a little bit less water. It's easier to add water than keep adding paint. Once you're satisfied with your consistency, start painting your walls on a flat level surface. It's key to have your walls flat, that way your wash sinks into the mortar and doesn't run off to the edges. If your walls are on an angle, it will run and it'll dry really unevenly. I mean, you could do it as an effect if you're planning on it, but it's optimal to leave your walls flat. The proper consistency is not having the paint too runny. If it's too runny, it won't coat your mortar. It'll just basically evaporate away and it'll just fade the color of your brick. Again, that's another effect you could aim for, but that's not what we're after here. If it's too thick, you'll basically just be painting your walls gray. So it's optimal to have a test piece if you're not comfortable with how to mix and paint washes. Also, I recommend putting your walls on another surface. That way, if you need to move them near a heater or anything, do that first. And try to paint everything quickly. The quicker the better. With acrylics, they dry fast, so if you don't do this step fast, you'll have really weird streak lines everywhere. So it's optimal to do this as quick as possible. Paint every nook and cranny visible. Every corner, every edge, every ledge, up and down, left and right. You got to paint everything. Again, if this paint starts drying, by the time you're done, you'll have really weird streak marks. So this particular method, once we're done, we'll have a perfect wall basically in one coat, and you could have your building done after this, or you can continue weathering it. If you missed any spots, it's best to touch it up right when it's wet. Later, again, streaks will appear. So you can see here, everything's covered. Above the doors will dry really nice. That's how you want it to look once you want to put it down for drying. To me, that looks perfect. After your touch-ups are done, keep your walls level, put them near a heater, and do not touch them. whatever you do, do not touch the walls. Let them dry. If you make any mistakes, touch them up later. You could respray them if you have to. You could remove the paint. Nothing is ruined in modeling. Just have fun while you're doing it. Take your time. And this particular method is really easy. You could get a building fully painted in minutes. It might take you longer to figure out the correct consistency than painting the building. And depending on the exact paint you use, your consistency will change. So my poly scale that I used is a little bit of a thicker paint. So 6 to 10 times the amount of water is about what I use there. And again, having a test piece to try before you go onto your building it's just a good idea. I mean, then you're not wasting your building and starting over basically. If you make a couple extra pieces or walls, you can test corners of it. You don't have to paint your whole wall. You can paint just an upper portion of it. Let it dry, see how you like it. And if it's too thick, thin it down. And if it's too thin, thicken it up. And keep testing it. Best way to find the proper consistency is trial and error. Like everything else in these hobbies, there's no one right way to paint brick mortar walls. So I just want to show you my method for the quickest and easiest way to achieve a realistic wall in one attempt. I mean, this particular model I went on to weather it and do quite a few more things, but if I painted 5 of these buildings at one time, 2 or 3 of them could easily be left as is, and in my opinion is very presentable just after one coat. If you're interested in seeing how this particular building went together, I made another video of basically how I built it. This video is just on the brick mortar for that building, but the complete build is in another video. It is called How I Built 2-Pack Shipping Co. And that's a pretty thorough build. Check it out, and that's basically the rest of this video. What you're seeing here is just the mortar. That video is everything else. The interior, the signs, lights, everything. Check it out. When you're painting your mortar lines too, don't forget to paint the inside of your upper walls, because it's going to usually be about the same color. It looks pretty silly if the inside is just gray. It's good to just put a couple coats there. And I only do that once the main walls are dry, obviously. You don't want to touch anything while they're wet. So you can see here now the walls are dry after one coat. And to me, that looks pretty realistic and easy. And keep in mind, in modeling, you could use any color. If you don't have L&N gray, you could use LMNOP gray, or light gray, dark gray, blue, pink. You could use any color you want. This is modeling. It's meant to have fun and basically do what you want. It's your world. You could make your washes too thin or too thick. Try different fades. And don't be afraid to experiment a little. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you did, like and subscribe. It'll help me make more videos in the future for you guys. And, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it and you learned something. Thank you for watching.